everybody. The group to the left of us is going to roll out first here, and then after they do, we're going to follow them to the track. As I'm sure Richie mentioned, this is our first track session, so think of this as a bit of a track discovery session. We're going to start off pretty slow at first, and then as the session progresses, we can start building up some speed. Now we are going to cycle through touring, sports, and track modes as we're out there, so the first couple laps we're going to run in touring mode. That is the default mode in these cars, so everybody should be in touring right now. After a couple laps, we'll cycle to sport, then eventually track, and of course I'll tell everybody when we get to that point. Go ahead and engage drive. Taxi out to the track here. And just take note too, when you pull it into drive, just take note of that M button that's just behind the drive lever there. That's for manual mode on the gearbox. A little bit later on in the session, we're going to be manually paddle shifting these cars. But for now, we're just going to be in full automatic. So with these first couple laps that we do especially, try to get in the habit of looking past that car in front of you and seeing the track independently of any cars around you, because that will help you learn the track quicker. And when we progress to our second track session later on in the program, that'll be very valuable. Anyway, as we drive around here, you're going to notice there's some orange cones that are serve as reference cones. As to where you should place the car throughout each point of the corner. So really the big idea when we're out here on a racetrack is we just want to try to make each corner as straight as we can. The straighter you make the corner, the less steering input you have in the car, and therefore the more speed you can carry both into the corner and, more importantly, out of the corner. So these cones help to show you where you want to place the car at each point of the corner to make that happen. So at the beginning of most of these corners, you're going to see an orange cone on the outside edge towards the beginning of it. And that's called a turn-in cone. So right as the nose of the car gets there, that's when you want to start turning into the corner. And then at the inside of every corner, you're going to see a big orange cone with a green top or a green sleeve on it. That's called an apex cone. So the apex, that's the point where you want the car be closest to the inside edge of the track. So very simply put, when you see one of those tall orange and green cones, you want to be right next to it. You want to be all the way down to where that white and green curb is beside the cone. If you can just follow that general formula, then you're going to be off to a great start in terms of navigating around the track. From there, it becomes easier to drive faster through the corners because that's how you're making the corners as straight as possible. It's a lot like taking the path of least resistance around the track. Every corner is different, as you're going to notice. So the placement of these turning cones and apex cones can vary a little bit. Generally speaking, the tighter the corner is, the later we turn into it, and also the later we apex it. This next corner right here is a great example of that. This is turn 8, very tight corner. So we basically pretend like we're driving a semi-truck. We keep it out super wide at first, then we get down to the inside right at the very end where that apex cone is. Turn 10 coming up here. This corner is deceptively tight, so just make sure you stay out by the turning cone before you add your steering. Then when you do turn it, just make sure you turn it enough to get over that white and green curb, and you're in good shape for the exit. So Scott, we're going to do our first rotation. Let me have you off to the right side. You're going to let 3 cars pass. The last car is going to be a gray, number 77. And then you can get back into line after that car comes by. That's how rotations work, gentlemen. It's pretty straightforward, and us instructors, we always call out when we want rotations done as well. Alright, Bobby, so your turn to see things from a bit of a closer perspective. So we just navigated through turn 1. This is turn 2. We don't need to brake for this corner. We typically just lift off the gas, let the car turn in, get to that apex, and then we let it come back out to the middle. Now from here, we really should be looking at the top of the hill here at the turning point for our next corner. You want to be in a straight line to it at this point. And right as the nose of the car gets there, it's when you want to start turning into the corner. Also, Bobby, if you take your hands and move them to more of a 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock hand position, you're going to find it's easier to get more leverage on the steering wheel, and you'll be able to get more rotation out of the wheel. If you have both of your hands at 12 o'clock up there, then a lot of times you're going to have to shuffle your hands around to get through some of these tighter corners, and you really don't want to have to do that when we're at speed. So recommendation, spread those hands out to 9 and 3. Anyway, here is turn 8. So we want to take a wide approach here, looking to the right, and get down to the inside of the cone. You want to be pretty much straight on the exit of this corner. That's how you know you've done it right. If you get to the inside of the corner too soon, before the apex, then that will make the exit of the corner tighter than it should be. So just keep in mind, this goes for everybody. You only want to get to the very inside of the corner at the apex, not before, not after. So Bobby, let's have you off to the right side of the track. You're going to let 3 cars pass. Last car is going to be a gray number 101. And Anthony, I'll have you drive it to me as you are. And we'll approach turn 1 with a little bit of momentum here. Turn 1's a pretty straightforward corner. Just make sure you turn it enough to get it down to the inside. You should actually graze that inside curbing a little bit. You should feel a rumble on your inside tires. That's how you know that you're all the way down into that apex curve. Here's turn 2, Anthony. So from that apex, we can start to accelerate out of it. And then shift your vision up towards the top of the hill. We want to point the car right at that turn-in cone. Straight line braking to it when the nose of the car gets there. And we're going to turn in, and we're going to look over here to the right. We're going to see that apex. There you go, that's good. Going to enter on the left side here of the bowl, and we're going to let the car come up to the middle of the track, shifting our vision left. Yep, it's pretty good right there. Can accelerate as we come up the hill. And then this section of the track, we call this the S's. You just want to make sure that you're paying attention to this turning cone to the left and then cut it to the right after. That just gives you the best possible line through the S's there, and it ensures that your exit is relatively spacious. So we're going to take it in down to that apex cone, shifting our vision to the left. And we can go back to the gas right here. We're going to drive it straight at that turning cone here for turn 10. Yep, there you go, Anthony. That looks good. Alright, let's have you off to the right side there, Anthony. And then Jim, let's have you drive it to me. Anthony, you're going to be behind a dark bronze colored 62 car. Everybody, let's take that mode selector. Let's turn it once to the right. Let's get it in sport mode now. We'll drive a handful of laps in sport mode, and then after that, we're going to go to track mode here relatively soon. Alright, Jim, so we're accelerating out of the corner here. Get towards turn 2, lift out of the throttle, look to the right, get to the inside curve there, start to accelerate. Then we can come out to 5th gear, looking up at the top of the hill. We'll point this at that turning cone. Right as the nose of the car gets there, we're looking over here to the right. And just kind of plan ahead here. Try to get down to that apex, and you can accelerate out of it. You got the right idea there, Jim. You just got to get a little bit closer to the inside. Just keep in mind, the closer you get to the inside of the corner, the more room you have on the exit of the corner, so therefore straighten the wheel and therefore accelerate. Stay out wide to the left. then cut it to the right. That'll give you a good exit out of here. Go back to the gas now. Staying out wide for turn 8. Shifting our vision to the right here. Try to get your right side into the curb right at the apex cone. Yeah, there you go, Jim. That's good. Just maybe a little bit too early on that turn in for that left-hander there in turn 9. And especially in those tighter corners, that's where it's really important to turn in at the right spot. Because if you turn in early for a tight corner, the exit of the corner can get really tight really fast. So, Jim, let's have you off to the right side. You're going to be behind the orange number 73 cars will be coming by. Alright, so we're back to the top of the order here with Scott. Like I said, we'll do a couple more laps in sport mode here, guys, and then eventually we're going to all switch over to track mode and do some laps in track mode. We'll look here to the right here, Scott. Now let's start to accelerate as we get out of the corner. And we're going to start looking up at the top of the hill. Straight line braking here right at that turning cone. And as we turn in, we'll just stay a few feet off the curb. We're going to get down to this apex right at the end and start to accelerate from there. Left side as you enter the bowl. We're going to let the car come up towards the middle, and we're shifting our vision back to the left. As we come up through the S's here, just a light brake pressure to help the car turn. We're going to stay to the left, and we're going to cut it back to this inside apex. And then next up is turn 8. So again, just take a really wide approach. A little bit of light brake here, help the car turn in. We can transition back to the throttle. Again, staying out wide here by the turning cone, cutting it in back to this apex. And that's what points the nose of the car nice and straight for us. So, Scott, your lines look pretty good right there, so next lap we'll pick up the pace a little bit more. But overall, I like what I see. Just have you off to the right side. And Bobby, we definitely should not be that wide coming out of turn 10. If you feel the need to use up all that extra asphalt, then that tells me you're turning in way too early there. So just make sure you're waiting until the nose of the car gets to that turn-in cone before we turn into the corner. That'll prevent that from happening. Scott, you're going to be behind that gray 77. Alright, Bobby, so stay in the outer groove at first and then bring it down to the inside through this corner. And we're accelerating out of it. Going to let the car come out towards the middle. Let's shift our vision up towards the top of the hill. And stay out wide here at first. And as we turn in, we're staying just a few feet off the curb. And we're going to get back inside of the apex. Now, that's really good there, Bobby. Now, this goes for everybody. Make sure you only let the car come out towards the middle of the track here through the bowl. I noticed last lap, everyone came out there to the right. That's too wide. You only want to be out to the middle. That looks a little better, but some of you guys in the back there are still a little bit too wide through there. You should be on the left side of those white hash marks in the middle of the bowl. Alright, Bobby, so just take a wide approach here through 8. Get the car down on the inside at the cone, then you can accelerate a little bit as a result. That looks good right there. Light brake as you turn. Good. Alright, now turn 10. This is one to fix for you, so just make sure you're staying out by this turn-in cone, and then just turn the wheel enough that you can get the wheel up and over that white-green curve. That was a little bit better there, Bobby. We just need to turn the wheel a little more. Anyway, guys, let's pull off to the right side of the track here. We're just going to get some space from these groups ahead of us. And then also, while we're here, let's all go to track mode. So let's take our mode selectors, turn it once to the right, put you in track mode. After you've done that, locate that manual mode button, it's that M button just behind the drive selector, press that, and that will lock the car into manual mode. Just remember, your right hand with the paddle shifters there, the right hand is to upshift, and your left hand is to downshift. So Bobby, we're going to do a rotation here. You're going to stay right there. Anthony, Jim, and Scott. Actually, Bobby, if you could, yeah, you got it. That's fine. So yeah, Anthony, go ahead and pull up behind me here. Jim and Scott just follow, and then Bobby, you're going to wait until you see a gray 101 come by. It'll be that last car in line. Then you're good to go. So let's upshift to fourth gear, everybody. We'll be in fourth gear by the time we get towards turn 1. And Anthony, we'll go to the gas here coming out of turn 1. Just lift out of the gas as we approach turn 2. And we'll look to the right. As the car gets to that apex, we're accelerating. And we'll let it come out to the middle. And we're going to upshift to 5th gear. That goes for everybody. 5th gear upshift. We're going to go back down to 4th gear, the braking zone for turn 3. Looking to the right. Going to get down to that apex, then we can accelerate after it. We're going to enter the bowl here on the left side, and remember, we're only going to let the car come up to the middle, not past those white hash marks. Yeah, that looks a little better from everybody there. So we'll use some light brakes as we come through the S's. We're going to get back to this apex, Anthony. Accelerating down to 3rd gear for everybody. Looking to the right, planning ahead on our exit. Can accelerate a little bit in between the corners. Looks good right there, Anthony. Straight towards our turning cone here for 10. Just turn the wheel enough to run all over this curve. There you go, that's good. Anthony, right side of the track. You'll be behind the dark bronze, number 62. Alright, so everybody should be back up to 4th gear as we get going with Jim. We maintain 4th gear through the first couple corners. Then as we clear out of turn 2, the one we're in right now, we're going to upshift to 5th gear. So Jim, shifting our vision to the top of the hill. We'll start going to the brakes now. 4th gear. When you turn in, try to be a few feet away from the inside, then add some steering so that you get all the way to the apex. Just like that, Jim. That's very good. And just a very light brake pressure here through the bowl is all you're ever going to need. It's really to help the car turn more than it is to slow down. Yep, nice job through the S's there, Jim. Back to the gas. Going to downshift to 3rd gear for everybody coming into turn 8. Alright, Jim, well done there. We're going to do another rotation, right side of the track. And then Scott, we're going to cycle back to you. Jim, do me a favor, just slow it way down here so we can get this rotation done in a short amount of distance. Yeah, there you go. You'll be behind that orange car. Just getting some space from this group ahead of us here. Alright, that should be good for at least a lap here, Scott. So 4th gear, if you're not already. As we exit turn 1, we can start to accelerate out of the corner. And here's turn 2. So just lift right at the trough, let the car turn, and out towards the middle of the track here. We're going to go to 5th gear. Firm initial brakes. Going to downshift it back to 4th. Carry a little brake as we turn. There we go. Really nice there, Scott. Left side as we come into the bowl. Let it float up here to the middle. Keep looking left. Nice. Very nice. Good precision. So the brakes, and just carry the brakes as we carry through here. Now the third. And we're just going to make a nice straight exit out of here. A little bit of throttle, a little bit of light brake, help the car turn. Nice. Good precision there, Scott. I really like to see that. Focus on getting that straight exit out of the corner here. There you go. Good. All right, Scott, right side of the track. And Scott, it's going to be a gray 77 as your last car. Alright guys, we're going to have to get some space from these groups up in front of us again, so let's just all pull off to the right side once more. We'll get rolling right when this group does. Alright, let's go ahead and get rolling here guys, and we'll upshift back to fourth gear. Alright, good line through turn one, Bobby. That looked good. So lift out of the gas as you turn for this corner, and then start rolling back into the gas pedal on the exit of the corner. Let's upshift to fifth gear. I'm going to look up at the top of the hill, point the car right at the turning cone. Going to downshift back to fourth. Now, Bobby, I did get a radio call the last time we came through here that you are way too far to the right. So notice my Camaro. See where I'm at? This is where you should be. You should not be any further to the right than where I'm at. That will help the car turn a little bit better to that apex, and you'll be able to carry a little bit more speed to it instead of just going way to the wide to the right track. That looks good through the S's. Back to the gas. Downshifting back to third. And all the way to the inside here, we can accelerate a bit in between the corners. Looking left now. Good. Very good there, Bobby. Points it right at the turn cone. Remember, patience is everything on this turn in here, so that you give yourself the best exit. Good. That looks very good there. That way you didn't run out of room on the exit of the corner. Right side there, Bobby, you'll be behind the gray 101. 4th gear once more, gentlemen. We'll get to it here, Anthony. Stay on the gas till you turn in here, then lift off of the throttle. We can start going back to the gas as we get to that apex, and we'll upshift back to 5th gear. And keep accelerating at this point. It's mostly straight through here. We'll start going to the brakes for turn 3, downshifting to 4th. Good turn in there, Anthony. Very good. That looked good as well. Just remember too, Anthony, you want to try to use up the space given to you on the exit of the corner. So whenever you accelerate, you want to try to have the steering wheel as straight as you can. And you do that by unwinding the steering wheel out to the edge of the track. So just make sure you're in the habit of doing that. For the most part, you're doing that, but there are sometimes in a few corners where you're just cutting yourself a little short on that. Right, Anthony, right side, and you'll be behind the bronze 62. Gonna do one more lap here, guys, one more hot lap with Jim, and then we're gonna start a cool down lap after this. Looks good so far, Jim. Fifth gear. Get close to the point now. Point straight at the turning countdown, shifting back to fourth. And then backside apex. Also, Scott, just be mindful of spacing. Try to give me, 5 car lengths between you and that car in front of you. Yeah, there you go, Jim. Looking good. Accelerating as we come up the hill. To the brakes here, just moderately. It doesn't have to be a heavy brake pressure. Right where I'm at, that's where you can go to the gas. There you go, good. Downshift to third. Drive a semi-truck right here, wide approach. Try to be parallel with the edge of the track. Yep, just like that, Jim. Very good. Just went to the brake a little bit too late there. Make sure you establish brakes before you turn in for the corner. Okay, everybody, let's stay in formation as we get to the straightaway. Let's accelerate hard one time down the straightaway, and then we're going to start a cool down lap after. And brake by that 5 marker. And let's just all maintain fourth gear and start gathering up the group. And like I said, we're going to exit the standby. So we'll run a cool down lap, get some air through the radiators and the brakes and all that good stuff. And we'll come into the pits. It's a good session there, guys. I like the technique that I saw from all of you, and it looks really good when you're behind me. Sometimes I would notice some consistency issues when you were not the car directly behind me. So just keep that in mind for the future sessions that we do. It's very important to try to be as consistent as you can with each corner or with each lap, because that's ultimately how you really expand your comfort level on the track, and that's how you get faster. So just try to make each lap look the same as the lap previous. Try to make your driving look the same, regardless if you're behind the instructor car or behind a student car, and just in terms of where you're placing the car and your normal driving line, stuff like that. You'll be in good shape. Alright guys, left side indicators on. And also, gentlemen, I saw a couple of you way too wide again on that cool down lap there, and those left-handers. So just make sure that you're only up to the middle of the track there. Anyway, leave enough room, of course, to open the door to the car on the left of you. But otherwise, just make sure you leave about 3 to 4 feet or so to the car in front of you as well. That way people can walk in between them. And then just make sure you engage park. And once you've done that, make sure you hit stop recording on the PDR system. To grab those SD cards out of the car, open up the glove